You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
This is the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where we hang out and talk about everything from hammocks and hammock camping to the group hangs from around the country. Hey everyone, welcome to the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where we unwind, relax, and delve into all things hammock related. Join us as we swing into the world of hammocks, exploring tips and tricks for setting up that perfect hang, sharing stories of outdoor adventures, and discovering the latest trends in hammock camping and relaxation. Whether you're a seasoned hammocker or new to the art of hanging, this podcast is your cozy corner to kick back, escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and soak in the soothing atmosphere of the hammock culture. Prepare to be inspired, educated, and entertained as we embrace the hammock lifestyle together. So grab your favorite hammock, find that perfect spot to hang, and let's embark on a hammock-filled journey that will leave you feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, and ready to take on the world. This is the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where every episode is a breath of fresh air. Let's get started.
Howdy, hangers. Welcome to this week's episode of the Hammock Hangers Podcast. This week, we have a good friend of not only the podcast, but also HangCon, and he's just a really awesome dude. He does the Rewyld event here in Florida, and he is also a wonderful, marvelous YouTube content creator. We have Shaun Strickland from Rewyld Outdoors with us this week. How you doing, Shaun?
I'm very good, very good. That was probably more about me than you had to say. That built me up a little more than people will probably find me in the future.
Oh, no. Yeah, your dedication to putting out content and doing your lives and things like that. Hey, hats off to you. People just don't realize the amount of work that goes into that video editing, that goes into the scheduling and those things.
Yeah.
We have wanted to do a lot more videos, and I have raw footage that I just haven't done the video editing to, because man, it takes a special love to do.
It's a lot, man. A lot of people don't realize, you spend so much time not only planning the trip, but then you plan the trip, you go on the trip, and then I come back here and I'll spend hours and hours and hours of editing. And, the funny thing about that is I'll plan a trip and I'm like, this is going to be the best video ever. And nobody watches it. And then I'll come back, and I've got to have a video this week. Let me just throw this little, what's in my bag video up, and it will blow up. And I've got like 10 minutes in that video and 14 hours in the other video.
That resounds with me. I think we had a very similar case with, gosh, Paul, it was when we were doing episodes every single week. Spoiler alert, we are not ever doing that again. But to have it was like, hey, we need an episode for this. Like, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, I don't know. Knots. Let's just do knots.
Yes.
What not? And so it was just kind of a throw together, like, hey, I use this knot, this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. It was one of our most popular episodes. And so it's like, I don't understand.
Yeah, it's so hard to know. It's so hard to know what's going to hit and what's not going to hit. You can study the algorithms, and I can study my channel and go, okay, these are the things that are working good. And then I'll try to, okay, let me not recreate something, but let me go in that same vein, and then it won't hit anything. But then I'll throw up something that's, literally just a filler video almost, and it'll just blow up. People will love that video. It's so hard to know what's really going to hit, but that's just all part of it. Sometimes they hit and sometimes they don't.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that we're able to make it out, and not to be overshadowed, but you do have a lovely lady sitting beside you.
Yes, sir.
Shaun's wife, Sara, is with us as well. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Sara.
Sure.
So, Shaun,
not my norm.
That's all right. That's all right. We're pretty laid back here. So, Shaun, let's talk about, like, how did you get into camping? Was that something that you grew up with, or was that something that you discovered later on in life, or what's kind of your hammock camping's origin story?
Well, camping itself, I didn't really get a choice. My father was a scoutmaster growing up, and so I did a lot of camping growing up, brother. Every time, even if somebody else was camping, we were camping. If one of the other groups were camping or something like that, and it wasn't necessarily our group camping, we were camping. And so we spent a lot of time in the woods with the Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, all that stuff. And I always joke around, while all the other kids were running around throwing sticks and pine cones at each other, I was driving tent stakes for my dad to set up the giant army tent that we all camped in. So that was kind of my experience, like, growing up. I did a lot of camping though, as a teenager, just with my buddies in the woods. We had a big sinkhole behind our house that we built a big fort in, and so we would camp sometimes out there. And but growing up, that was pretty much my camping experience. Was, like I said, my dad was a scoutmaster, so I didn't really have much choice.
Yeah, I remember. I grew up in the Scouts as well. I was an Eagle Scout, and we would always go to Camp Powhatan, which is at the time was the second largest Boy Scout reservation, second to Philmont. But I remember those old Army tents that weighed 500 pounds that they smelled just like musty mold. And
you remember that smell, don't you?
You do. Like, it is
I can talk about
memory.
that tent, and that's a core memory. You can smell that tent right now, can't you?
You can smell that musty canvas. Just, But I mean, those things were bomb. They really were, but they were a pain in the butt to set up. They were
God, heavy,
oh,
so
Lord.
heavy.
But I mean, they did the job. And so when did you discover hammocks? Because I always think, like, man, if I had only discovered hammocks when I was in Boy Scouts, oh Lord, I can think of so many camping trips that were train wreck disasters that may not have been as bad.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I don't think I discovered hammocks until I got really started camping again. So to be honest with you, and it's actually, I feel bad saying this, but when my daughters, I've got 4 daughters. So as my daughters were starting to be born and they were starting to grow up, I kind of fell out of the camping and stuff like that. It was just time to be a dad and work and take care of the kids, and so I kind of fell out of that. I did take them fishing some, but we didn't do a lot of camping. So I kind of got out of it for many years. And then when I started getting back into it, I started watching the YouTube channels and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I really want to try hammock camping. And, I've laid in hammocks and stuff on and off throughout my life, but never really thought about actually camping in one. And I think one of my first videos, obviously, is the Shug video. And I, decided, you know what? I want to try it. And I bought a cheap little hammock off of Amazon. I think it was Amazon.
I think it was an Amazon Prime deal, like for Prime Days, the first time they ever had it.
Yeah, it was like a long time ago. And to this day, this is no joke, that still is the hammock that I guarantee you I can set up one time and it's comfortable every time. But I learned how that I did my own ridge line on that hammock. I know exactly, it takes 4 paces between the trees for that hammock to be perfect. And it's those little things. It doesn't take a super expensive hammock to be comfortable. You just have to figure out the little nuances of what works with that hammock. And it's a double hammock. But yeah, that's how I kind of got into it, is when I kind of started getting back into hammock camp, or back into camping, because we're in Florida and it's so hot, man. I was like, a hammock's got to be better than a tent. And then
Gotcha. So have you always lived in Florida?
Yeah, I've lived in Florida. I've literally lived in the town or the county that I live in. I've lived here my whole life except 2 weeks. I moved to Georgia. I moved to Georgia with my brother for 2 weeks, and was like, nope, I'm going back home. And so I've been here my
seems to
whole
be a
life.
story behind that, but we'll save that for another time.
Yeah, that's a different story for a different day.
So what you said that you were away from camping for a while, which tends to happen, like you said.
Yeah.
Life kind of gets in the way, kids come in, our priorities change. What was there a particular moment that said, Shaun, you got to get back outside?
I really don't know when it happened.
Was it when your dad started getting slowing down?
Yeah, I think when Pop started getting sick, my dad was my best friend, man. And when Pop started getting sick and he started slowing down to where he couldn't hardly get out there anymore, I think that's when I started trying to get back out and try to get him back camping. We did some camping and stuff before he passed. And my brother and I got him on one last camping trip before he passed. I have a video of it. Thank the Lord that I actually have that camp on video. And it was such a neat trip, man. He couldn't sleep laying down anymore, so he couldn't sleep like in a hammock or in a tent or anything. And we got this giant tent on the side of the river in Georgia where my brother lives. And my brother got my dad a recliner, because Dad had slept in a recliner for years. Got him a recliner, and then Pop couldn't hardly walk. So we built him a runway out to the campsite with plywood and got him out there. And we spent the whole weekend with him sitting in that chair on the side of the river with us basically catering to him hand and foot. And he actually, his last camping trip, he spent sitting in a recliner on the side of the river fishing. And, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, man. You know what I mean?
That sounds like a pretty sweet way to experience the outdoors.
That's kind of how I just got back into it, I think, because I wanted to get Pop back out into it. And, it's kind of a roundabout way of talking about it, but that's kind of how I got into doing the YouTube videos and stuff, because there's so much that Pop had wanted to do in his life that he didn't do because he was working. He was doing other things, So there towards the end of his life, we did a lot of bucket list trips. He wanted to go to New Orleans. We went to New Orleans. He wanted to go to Key West. I took him to Key West. He actually wanted to go to Key West during Fantasy Fest, and I kind of explained to him that I don't think that's the trip you think it is, Pop. Pop was 80-something years old. I don't think it was what he thought it was. But we still went down there. We had a great time, and that's kind of what got me back out doing stuff like that, and that. And I'll tell you the other thing is the want or the desire to find some new buddies to hang out with. And that's how I got involved with Florida Bushcraft and my buddies at Florida Bushcraft. I was just, I'm a small business owner. I'm a farrier by trade, so I trim and shoe horses for a living. That's a one-man show. And I came from working for the power company where we had crews that I worked with. And so after so many years of working with crews and stuff, when you work by yourself, it starts getting lonely. And I realized, you know what? I don't really have a whole lot of buddies anymore. I had work friends, but I didn't have a whole lot of buddies. And so I started looking for people to camp with. And now I've got a lot of good friends that I've made. I mean, you included. I've got a lot of good
Yeah.
friends that I've made throughout this whole, the whole experience of getting back into camping.
I've had this conversation with numerous people numerous times in the last, only 3 months, of just how much the hammock community and just the camping community and the
Yes,
Florida bushcraft community has really enriched just my life, and just the pure fact of it's hard making friends as an adult.
it is.
Like, especially if you're not going out and you're not being sociable as much as you can, because let's be real, we both have full-time jobs. When I come home, I just really want to crash.
Yeah,
Being able to go out and meet people, not just in Florida, but all over the country, and some cases all over the world. And you just sit back and go, gosh, like this these avenues of Florida bushcraft, or just hammocks in general, like, is mind-blowing to me.
right.
When we were in Denmark, I just remember looking at Paul, or this past year when we were sitting around the campfire with like 8 different countries sitting around just singing a song, and I'm
Yes,
thinking, I'm here because of a piece of fabric that I sleep in. Like,
right.
how mind-blowing is that?
Yes, absolutely. It's so funny. Last year at HangCon, we met some guys from Denmark, Noel and a couple of other guys, and such great guys. And now I'm friends with them on Facebook, and we have talked about, you know, HangCon 2026. We're planning to camp next to each other again. And I learned about stroop waffles from those guys. I would have never known about that. I love those things. And, it's so funny how you can meet if you're open. This is the thing that I think. If you're open and friendly and willing to meet new people, you can go to these events and meet new people and make new friends, and they might be lifelong friends. That's like, I've got friends that I made when I went to Georgia Bushcraft that I never see unless I see them online or at Georgia Bushcraft. I've got friends that I met at HangCon that I may not ever see unless I go to HangCon. And that's why a lot of people ask me, man, you've been to that event before. Why do you keep going back? And that's why I keep going back, because it's like a family reunion every time. And it's such, you people just don't realize how, you can really make some really good, real friends that you don't have to see every day. You don't have to hang out with every weekend, but they are real friends, good friends. You know what I mean?
And it always seems that when you meet them again, you just pick up right where
Mhm.
you left off last time you were there.
Absolutely. Yep,
And I,
absolutely.
I can say, and you get people from the gamut, not just like at HangCon, but I was at your event, and unfortunately, I could only stay the one day. But like your event and Bodier's event, you get people that across the gamut of like socioeconomic and political, religious, just
Yes.
spectrum, and they all come together, and they all just have this common heart of just community together.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's what's so mesmerizing to me.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see the real variety of people that you can get at these events. And like you said, there's some people, like, I am more of a budget camper.
Mhm.
I'd go as far as say as I'm cheap most of the time. Um, so I definitely lean towards more budget gear. So I kind of like making budget gear work. But then you have people out there that have the super expensive gear and all that stuff. And like at HangCon, I met so many people that came by. I've got my setup that I built by hand to go on the back of my Jeep. I welded it together. It's not the best welds in the world. I hope most people don't look at the welds when they come up there. But it's, there are people there that have spent, a ton of money on their stuff, but they'll still come over and look at mine and go, man, this is really cool. You built this yourself. It's not like there's a ton of people that are looking down on you. It's everybody wants to see what everybody has. And it's like, if you're open to talk to somebody, then for the vast majority of people, you can actually sit there and have a great conversation with somebody that you've never met before. And HangCon, is a great example. I've talked to people about, well, I don't really hammock camp, so I'm not going to HangCons. Like, that doesn't matter. I mean, you may hammock camp when you leave, but when you get there, you can come bring your tent. And I mean, yeah, we might rib you about it a little bit, but nobody's looking down on you from bringing your tent. Come meet
Absolutely.
some people and check the stuff out. That's the great thing about it is, and again, I keep saying this, if you have an open mind or if you're open about it, because a lot of people come to these events and they will be shut down. They'll be in their own little family group or their own little friend group, and that's all they want to do is sit there with those people. And I don't know, I'm just not like that. I want to meet everybody, and of course, I'm the guy that will, strike up a conversation with the lady at the checkout line at the grocery store too. So I'm a little bit different, but I just feel like if you go there with an open mind, you can actually meet some really cool people.
Yeah, and that's really been my experience with any hang that I've been to. Anywhere across the country. I'm excited to be going to some new hangs in 2026. We've got a slew of new places that we're going to be, even
Cool.
in the fall. So in the fall, I'm going to be going to Michigan up in Michigan. And, I don't think I've said this on the podcast yet, but Lord willing, the creek don't rise. I'm going to be at Georgia Bushcraft this
There you
fall
go.
as well.
That's cool, man.
So
I'll be teaching. I'll be teaching a class at Georgia Bushcraft this fall.
I'm really excited about Georgia Bushcraft. I've had the opportunity to meet some of the organizers and some of the volunteers. I met a couple at Year's event. I met another one at the Who Hang that I went to over the summer, and just great guys. And just I actually just really love what they've done with Georgia Bushcraft and just built that festival up. It sounds like a wild ride, and I'm really excited about it.
I'll tell you, if there's anything camping related just about that you are interested in, if you go to Georgia Bushcraft, you can almost guarantee that you're going to be able to put your hands on it. There's so many vendors there. If there's a knife that you have ever in your entire life thought, hey, I would like to see that in person, go to Georgia Bushcraft. That knife is there. I almost guarantee you. But yeah, and then they have a lot of classes, a lot of guest speakers and stuff, and it really is a great event.
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. And, I'm going to be attending Rewyld in October. Well, October/November.
Yeah.
I'll be there for days.
Halloween weekend.
Halloween weekend. I'm really excited. I was really bummed that I could only stay the day last year because I had a lot of fun there. It was nice seeing, some old friends that I'd met from other things. But I'm excited that I'll get to stay Saturday night and into Sunday. I may even bring my daughter as well. She's like, I might want to. I was like, hey. I mean,
bring her on.
What I like about your event too is your event is very similar to HangCon in that you really cater to the whole family. Like you cater to not just your Dave Canterbury's of the world where solo camper, but like you have stuff for kids. And I'm going to be taking a lot of like cues that I saw from you as your child programming that you did this past year, and bringing a little bit more of that to HangCon as well, having some more stuff specifically for kids. And and bringing some of the bushcraft classes that I've seen
Yeah.
that are so incredibly useful and popular at Rewyld, also to HangCon as well. And I'm excited to kind of expand the scope of the people that go to HangCon to not just,
Yeah.
we're not just hikers.
Man, we can bridge that gap. We
Yeah,
can
100%.
definitely bridge that gap.
Well, let's talk about the bushcraft thing. So, like, you get back into camping, and camping on a recliner by the river is not exactly bushcraft. So, what kind of like drew you? What kind of drew you into the bushcraft side of camping versus just like RV camping or something along those lines?
Well, I think for me, the bushcrafting is, uh, it's just I'm a problem solver. I like to solve problems. And then I also like to do stuff with my hands. I like to make stuff. I like to carve. And so the bushcrafting for me is a way to kind of get those things together. I can kind of, okay, I need what have you. I need a pot hook to boil this water, or maybe I don't need a pot hook, but I need a project. And so I'm going to make a pot hook to boil this water over the fire. And it's just a way for me to just practice those skills. It's great for practicing knife skills, problem solving, that sort of thing. And also, I am I'm a fan of the like survival skills and learning and practicing survival skills. And so a lot of what you do when you're bushcrafting kind of lends itself to the survival skills, and so I like to practice those things. I'm not necessarily a go out here and cut a bunch of trees down and build a shelter kind of guy, although I would love to try that, but I'm also not the guy that's going to go out here. There are people that do it, that go out in the national forests and stuff and try to bushcraft. And for one thing, that's against the rules and it's bad etiquette. And so I'm not willing to go out there and do that. So I don't really have an area to actually shelter build and stuff. But I do like the smaller projects. I like to make the pot hooks and do the carving and what have you. And so all that stuff kind of lends itself to practicing those other skills. Knot tying, that we use for hammock camping. Knot tying, fire building. I like the primitive fire building stuff. So we a big lighter works great, but also if you can go out there and flint and steel a fire or something like that. I'm not a bow drill guy. I have made a bow drill fire one time, and I decided at that point that I will either freeze to death or starve before I do another bow drill. Um, but that's just me.
I completely agree. I did a bow drill fire once as well, and I think my hand had more hot spots on it than the actual fire did.
Yeah, so. I agree. Now, my buddy Tampa Jimmy, the guy, he runs Florida Bushcraft. He loves to sit out there and just work away and try to build a fire with a bow drill and all that stuff. And I completely commend him for it. Not for me. There are other ways for me to build a fire besides that,
I remember a conversation that we had at Bodier's event where me and you were talking around the campfire, and we were talking that when people hear that bushcraft term, they immediately think like what you were saying. Oh, I'm going out to the woods, chopping trees down, building a shelter, this, that, and the other. But like going into wilderness skills or woodsman skills versus just thinking of making a permanent structure is so much more important. And I completely agree with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when you go to like your event or some of the other bushcraft events that I've gone to, they're not out teaching, well, this is how to build a log cabin out of pine wood.
Right.
It's the tri-stick. I've
Yes.
done 5 or 6 tri-sticks. Guess what? Every single bushcraft that I'm going to go to, I'm going to go to that class
Yeah.
because, like you said, those notches and six can be so so very useful for a
Right.
multitude of different things. Now, one of the things that I think that you don't give yourself enough credit for, that a skill that you have that I think is stupid cool, is you love to whittle and you love to carve. And
Yeah.
what got you into whittling and carving, other than I can imagine you as a 7-year-old with a pocket knife. You got
Yep.
probably a couple scars on the
I
hand.
have
Yeah.
one. As far as the carving and stuff, I think people don't realize, like, when you primitive camp, like, I prefer to primitive camp. I like to get out there away from nature, or no, away from nature, away from the other people, and enjoy nature and just the sounds and stuff. But especially in the fall, when it doesn't, it starts getting dark super early, and you've got a long time until daylight comes and stuff like that. If you're camping by yourself, like I do, I like the solo camp. And when you're by yourself, man, it gets boring sometimes. As much as I love it out there, it can get boring. So whittling, carving little caricatures and stuff like that, it gives you something to kill time and pass the time doing. But also it teaches you like fine carving skills with your knife. And so there's been plenty of times that I've carved stuff, not even with my carving knife, with just my regular Pine Ridge Forge knife, that my knife that I carry all the time, my fixed blade. I've carved caricatures with that thing just to see if I could do it. And then, or spoon carving. That's another thing, man. Spoon carving, that's a great skill to practice, and it kills some time, and then you end up with something you can use after the fact. So that's kind of how I got into doing that stuff. Really, it was just to kill some time, but I really enjoyed doing it. And then I kind of started, um, again, Tampa Jammy, my buddy, he does some beautiful carvings. And so I started learning some stuff from him. And then it kind of becomes a little bit of there's a little competition there. So I want to learn a little bit more and go, oh, yeah, look what I just carved, which is still nothing compared to the nice stuff that he carves. But still, it's a little practice to try to get better and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, I love to carve, man.
Good deal. Good deal. Let's talk about your YouTube channel, if for Will. So if you're not familiar with Shaun's Rewyld Outdoors channel, definitely go and check that out. He puts out pretty consistent videos, and he does lives as well. And I really love your channel because you really do showcase some of the lesser known, kind of quieter places that you go and camp.
Right.
What has been some of the most rewarding things about really capturing all of these adventures on video for you?
I would say one of the things that is so that's so rewarding about it is going back, being able to go back and look at some of those things that I have captured. The video I was talking about earlier with my dad. It's with the YouTube channel itself, it's almost like a digital um like diary almost. I'm capturing these trips that I've gone on. And recently I went on an awesome road trip with my father-in-law, and we went to Pennsylvania, and we went, they're memories. And I can go back and look at these videos, and it's like, man, that was such a cool thing that we did there, such a beautiful place we stayed at there. And so like I love that aspect of it, of being able to go back almost like I said, a digital diary, and go back and look at it. But um the other side of that is the videos I've made. Over 400 videos now, I think. But I have so many messages from people that have said, "Hey man, I watched this video and now me and my son are going camping this weekend." Or, "I watched this video and I just bought a hammock and I'm going to hammock camp this weekend for the first time ever in my life." And to me, those things that's worth every bit of sweat I've ever had from summer camping to make videos. I mean, that's what makes it worth it to me, and what makes it cool is to inspire other people to do that. Our motto for our channel is to entertain, inspire, and instruct. And so the idea is, if I can entertain you, then maybe I can inspire you to go try it. And if I can inspire you to go try it, maybe I can teach you something that'll help you make it more comfortable or more fun when you go. And so that's the whole idea for the channel.
Yeah, I think it's really incredible when you do get that sort of feedback. And, we have some YouTubers that come out to HangCon, and, like you said, there's a lot of work that goes into these videos. And, sometimes that there may be questions that, like, gosh, do I want to keep doing this? Or like you were talking about earlier, some videos that I put like hours and hours of editing just not hitting or whatever. If you see like one of your like YouTubers that you follow and things like that, gosh, I can say like a simple, "Hey, thank you for doing that."
Yeah.
It pays. That little thank you coming from you, just somebody that doesn't need to do that coming to you, it pays us tremendously more
Oh yeah.
than you would.
Absolutely, man.
When you can hear people, and I completely can relate to that, when you hear people say, "Hey Shaun, you inspired me to take my son out, or take my daughter out, or take my wife out to camping," you never know, that one video that you made could have instilled this core memory for some
Yeah.
other kid, some other family that you had from like growing up. I had an amazing scoutmaster growing up, and just all of those times that we would go out camping. I don't remember a lot about Boy Scouts, but I remember the camping trips. I
Yeah.
remember my scoutmaster. Whenever we would get annoying, we'd have to go pick up rocks. So we had like
Mhm.
this 5-gallon bucket. Whenever we came all day, he's like, "Hey, go pick up rocks."
We had
But
pine cones.
yeah, it's like those stupid things like that you never think, like when you're making a video, "Oh, this is going to be stupid," or whatever. But that's what people are going to remember. Or it's blowing my mind. When we went to Denmark the first time, there was someone from the other side of the world came up to me, and Dawn was with me the first year. It's like, "Oh, you're Pheonix, and your hashtag don't tell Dawn," which she absolutely hates that trail name, but that's beside the point. But like, it was just mind blowing to her and to me that they had never met my wife, and my wife doesn't come on the podcast, or she comes to HangCon and we talk about her, but they knew that. And so you are connecting with people on such a drastic level that we'll never know. As a teacher, when I have students that come back and go, "Thank you," that to me, it
Yeah.
almost brings tears to my eyes, thinking like,
Yeah.
"Gosh, that one little thing that I did, like, will maybe change some person's life forever."
Right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's funny you're talking about your wife, because for years, Sara was never in a video of mine. She would be just outside the video. She would be, you know, you could hear her talking, but she would never be in the video. And so for the longest time, people didn't even think she was real. They didn't even think she was a real person. And so her nickname turned out to be the real Miss Sara, because she's actually a real person. When she finally showed up in the videos, people were like, whoa, she's actually a real person. Like, I don't know if they thought I just had a sock puppet off to the side, or what they thought, but it's pretty funny you said that.
Yeah, I mean, so when you're doing your videos, do you find it odd to just go camping when you're not filming?
Yeah, it's not that I find it odd to go camping when I'm not filming. It's hard to not film when I'm doing anything like that now. It has become it's almost the opposite of that. It has become um like almost a bad habit that everything is content.
Because you'll go, oh, I'm not going to film this. And then it turns into, oh, I'm just going to do a little Instagram video. Or, oh, I'm just going to get this.
Yeah,
and then he's standing there filming something. And I'm like, can we go? I want to go.
She didn't speak up. She didn't speak up at all until we got to this part, right?
I feel that Sara has an opinion on this.
She was waiting on this segment. But no, that's how it goes. It's like I love to camp, but because of the YouTube and because I do put up a video every week, it does become everything's content. And so, like, when I go camping with my buddies and stuff like that, I'm very careful. Like, a lot of times I'll say in the video, hey, I'm camping with my buddies out here, and I may never show them in a video. And I've had people say, oh, you said you were with your buddies, but you never showed them. Because I don't want me filming a video to negatively affect their camping trip. And I'm very careful to not do that. And so, I'll mention, hey, I'm camping with these guys, and I might not ever show anybody. And that's why, because I don't want to negatively affect them, because it does get to a point like Sara was talking about. We can go for a hike, and it's supposed to just be a hike, just me and her going hiking. And I'm like, let me get a few shots of this while I'm here.
Here.
Yeah, like, if we're gonna do this, let me get a few shots of it. But I also try to be careful to balance that out, because I don't want Sara to get, bitter about it. And I will honestly say Sara's my biggest fan. Anything, or maybe not my biggest fan, that might be a stretch, but she's my biggest supporter anyway. Anything I say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, or I was thinking about doing that, she is real quick to say, well, what do you need? How can I help you? What do you need to do, to get that or to do that? And so I'm very careful not to push those boundaries. You know what I mean? I don't want it to get to be a point where it's a problem for her. I do have a tendency with everything I do to get hyper focused, and I'll get tunnel vision, man. It's like that's the only thing I want to talk about. It's the only thing I want to think about or do right now. And so back when I was playing in the band, it was that same way. When I start doing this stuff, I'm like, hey, if this becomes a problem, I need you to say something to me so I can bring it back, because I'm more than willing to do that. I don't want to do anything that will negatively affect our relationship. So I kind of, I keep that in the back of my mind, but I also want her to be willing to step up and say, hey, all right, enough's enough. Let's get back to it just being us, because like I said, in my mind, when we're starting to do something, everything's content.
But there are times when I'm like, okay, aren't you going to go camping this weekend?
Yeah.
Like, I need a little break.
Yeah, there are times when she will send me camping too.
You've been in a bad mood.
I haven't gotten quite to that point yet, but yeah, my wife's a lot of the same way. When we're going out, camping, especially when we go out west, because man, I'm just blown away by the Rockies out that way. We'll go on trips, And, I always, in my day pack, I always have like my hiking hammock that I can just throw up and like, man, I bet this would be a really good hammock picture. So we'll like stop hammock. I'll like set everything up and get it and get some Instagram pictures or something like that.
Got to do it for the gram.
Got to do it for the gram. Yeah.
Do it for the gram.
So yeah, and it kind of does, but even before that, like when I'm going and I'm taking, pictures, yeah, you get the big, macro pictures of the big vistas or, the gaps or things like that. But sometimes I'll just go like, gosh, the bark on this aspen tree just looks really, really cool. And so, or, this bug or something like that, some really cool colors, like really getting those micro pictures. So there's numerous times that we've gone on campings, like, where's your dad? He's like, oh, he stopped to take a picture of a rock or something back there. So, well, I'm back here. I'll catch up. So
yeah. Well, I got one for you real quick, and then I'll quit running my yap so much. But we were hiking one time, and we were hiking supposedly for exercise, which works really well for Sara. It doesn't work well for me because I'm constantly wanting to stop and take a picture or, set the camera up and walk past the camera, the whole YouTube walk past the camera thing. So Sara calls me and we're hiking at this area in Gainesville here, and there's a lot of these ponds around there. And so it's alligator mating season. And Sara is not willing to wait on me. And she's like, I will just see you later. I'm going to hike. So I'm sitting there playing with my camera or something, taking a picture or something, and I get a call. And Sara's like, these two alligators are fighting on the trail over here. And I was like, okay, well, stay where you're at. I'll take this little cutoff and I'll come find you. Well, she meets me on the cutoff. And I'm like, well, how did you get past those alligators? Well, they both stopped fighting and they were on either side of the trail. So I just ran between them and ran between two fighting alligators so she could come on and finish. She's finishing her hike. These gators are not going to get in her way. I'm like,
she's got a constant heart rate that she's got to keep up.
Exactly.
You make it sound like that happened in 30 seconds. I was waiting for like 10 minutes. And finally, I'm like, okay.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
There's a break in the action. I'm going to go.
Exactly. Yeah. Craziness. But yeah, that's part of the enjoyment of us going together is you just never know what you're going to get into sometimes, I guess.
Well, let's talk about something you guys do together, and that is your Rewyld event. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that get started? And just tell us, for those that may be interested, tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so Wyld Camp, this year is our third year putting on Wyld Camp. So the first year, it really started out as it was going to be a subscriber get-together. And we picked a site that had 50 campsites, and I figured, 50 is more than enough. We'll never even get close to that. It's going to be a little subscriber get together. And we sold all 50 tickets, and we had people wanting on a waiting list. And I was blown away by it, and we wanted to put together just a little event that the subscribers could come to, we could hang out, everybody could learn something. And maybe have like a little raffle or something. And so, like I said, if I do something, I want to do it over the top and all the way. So I can't do anything just a little bit. So I reached out to some companies, and we started getting some cool stuff in for the raffle. And so we ended up deciding, you know what? Let's just do since we're doing the raffle, let's do a Saturday night group dinner. We'll do a group dinner. And so
you're like, let's do a group dinner, not realizing how much goes into planning.
Yeah, that was group dinner. That was 50 people. And
the struggle is real. The struggle is real.
I'm preaching to the choir with you. I know what we do is nothing compared to what you guys deal with. But yeah, so that first year we had people on a waiting list that wanted to come and didn't get to come. And so we're like, well, maybe we should do this again next year, and we'll kind of find somewhere that's a little bigger and has a little more room for people. And so last year we decided that we'll offer, we found a site that you guys know about. We the last year and then this coming year will be at Doe Lake Campground in Umatilla. Well, we figured, well, we had 50 last year. If we offer 100 tickets this year, there's no way we're going to end up with 100 people. And then we hit 100 people, and there was people asking for more tickets. So we ended up with close to 150 people last year, and which is mind-boggling. But we ended up with some really good classes last year. We had some guest speakers last year that came in. That we had Andy Wildlander from Naked and Afraid last year. We had like some really cool stuff going on. You came out and you taught your beginning hammock camper class, and it was just, I don't know, man. It just kind of grew more than I thought it would. And then we kind of, after last year, were like, I don't know if I even want to do it again. But before we could, and it really is. So, but before we could get done with the event last year, we've got people coming up to us going, man, you're doing it again next year, right? You're doing it again next year. And so now we've kind of developed this thing where it's almost like you feel a little guilty thinking about not doing it again, but there's always that thing in the back of your head too, that you feel like you almost kind of have to one up yourself from last year. There's that, like, well, last year we did this year we need to go a little bigger and a little better. And at some point we don't really want to do that. We want to keep that family feel to the event. We want people to be able to meet, like we were talking about, other people. We don't want it to click up into everybody's own little groups. And so we are, in a way, kind of holding ourselves back, because I think we could grow it even more, but we're at a point where we're almost max where we want to be. You know what I mean? So this year we have some awesome sponsors again for our Saturday night raffle. We have a few that have been with us the whole time. Element, Tough Possum, Sawyer. These companies have been with us the whole time. Like, we had 50 people there, and Tough Possum sent us $300 worth of stuff to give away
for our first event.
We've never done this before. They sent us, incredible people. And then last year we, a little bit more, and different companies, and then this year we've got some new people. We got Walhalla is going to be sending us some stuff, some really nice stuff. Great people, and we met Jason down there with you at HangCon, and then Jacks Are Better. That's another one we met down there, and they're sending us some stuff. So we've got some really cool sponsors this year. Dave Canterbury is going to be there this year. Stephanie Beeson, she was a Naked and Afraid survivalist. She'll be there this year I think she's doing, she's going to talk about her experience with Naked and Afraid, but she's also going to do a wild foraging class. So that'll be really cool. So we've got a lot of cool stuff going on there, and the tickets will go on sale next Thursday night, the 24th, July 24th at 8 p.m. And we will be doing a live stream on our channel on the 24th. So those tickets will go on sale. But
so where can people go to purchase tickets?
So we have an Eventbrite. So if you look up Eventbrite, and just look up Wyld Camp 2025.
And it's Wyld, W-Y-L-D.
W-Y-L-D, Wyld Camp 2025. It'll bring it up for you. And but yeah, they should definitely go over there and check it out, because we have sort of the itinerary on there. We have the guest speakers and some videos from last year's event, or the, you know, a video of the site and all that stuff. It's a beautiful place out there. And we're going to have Kyle Keen's going to be back out there teaching the kayak bass fishing class. And that was such a cool thing last year. Just a little story about that real quick. Kyle did his bass fishing class, and there was a young man in his class, maybe 13, 14 years old, that was kind of hammering Kyle with questions. And so Kyle sat down after the class with the young man and answered as many questions as he could. And finally, Kyle said, "Did you bring a kayak with you?" And the young man was like, "Yes, sir." And Kyle said, "Well, go grab your kayak, talk to your parents, and let's go do some fishing." And Kyle took that young man out on the lake, and I just happened to catch on video when he caught his second bass ever out there on that lake with Kyle, right there in front of his instructor. And I don't know who was more excited, the kid or Kyle. I thought Kyle was going to jump out of his kayak to get over there and take the video and picture for the kid, but it was so cool, man. And that's, for us, that's part of what we want to really focus on, is the classes. We want people to come there and have a good time, but we want them to leave there learning something and really feeling like that they got their money's worth. You know what I mean? So we've tried our best to keep the costs as low as possible, because we want the tickets and we want the event to be as attainable as it can be. And but you know as well as I do, man, these events cost a lot of money. And like, I know you guys just recently, started charging for your event. I don't know how you ever did it for so long the way you guys did it. It's unbelievably expensive to run one of these events. Even something as small as what we did. What you guys do is mind blowing, that you guys were able to do it the way you did it.
Yeah. I mean, I and Doe Lake, I know how much it is just to rent the site in order to be there. It's really expensive. And yeah, and I think for us, like, the biggest thing was the biggest up thing for like us was like that no other hang like charges and this, that, and the other, and we had to get to the point where, like, well, for one, if we want to be able to continue to go this on, then we need some of the buy-in.
Yeah.
And all of the feedback that we got from everybody when we started charging was, thank you for charging. You shouldn't have to put it in it. And
absolutely.
Returning back, like, preaching to the choir, only you and I and Sara, of course, like, we know, gosh, how much time we put before the event. And
wow.
I'm answering questions about HangCon the next year, literally, like, right after the raffle on Saturday night, like, the day after. And so it really is a 365 thing. And I was just having a conversation with the other group of hang organizers, and I want to tell them, like, guys, you're working your tails off. Even if it's just you're hopping on, Facebook or something to just, oh, I'm just sending out a post. I'm just, making this, sending this out, answering emails. Yeah, but you get stuck in a rabbit hole with that.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you've been on a computer for, let's say, at least an hour, just doing little things. But you're doing that, I mean, for HangCon, like, almost every day. And, like, you're putting that time to value your time. And the idea of doing, like, a free hang, like, the vision is really good. I commend people to do that. But to be able to provide the experience that you guys provide with Wyld Camp, with your classes, with the raffle, with the meals, and just the sight and sound. People just have to show up and buy a ticket, and they don't have to have reservation. Like they can go and explore the area.
Well,
like we're really providing a huge benefit for. I mean, it really isn't that much that we're charging when you look at, just to a campsite in like Alexander Springs. I love Alexander Springs. Yeah, like if you get a campsite at Alexander Springs, for one, it doesn't have electricity. It has water, but you're looking with all the fees and stuff just to camp there. You're looking at $35 north of $35 a night, and that's just to be there.
Yeah, and then you got to provide your own food. You got to provide your own entertainment. All that stuff. So I know you guys provide a lot more meals than we do. We provide one meal. We do a Saturday night group dinner that we provide. And you guys provide a lot more meals for a lot more people. And it's still mind-boggling to me how you guys pull that off. But like last year, I think we're doing the taco dinner again tonight, or not tonight, this year. But last year we did the taco dinner, and I thought then I never want to brown this much meat again in my entire life. But we're doing it again this year apparently. But but just like people don't realize, last year we spent north of $500 from just for the Saturday night dinner. Now I don't want you guys to talk about how much you spend on food because you guys do freaking brisket and stuff. But
it's definitely north of $500.
I think to say, but it's people just don't realize how expensive it is and how much work goes into it. And like as far as like you were talking about, we do start the next day after the event. We start planning for next year's event. We're probably planning on it prior to the event itself. We're already planning for next year's event. And like we had some people that have made some comments because last year's event was in December. This year's event's over Halloween. The crazy thing is, the day after the event last year, we went to rebook the site at Doe Lake. And the only 2 weekends that were available were, I think it was Thanksgiving and Halloween weekends, the only 2 weekends that were available still. And so we took Halloween, and we're going to lean into it. We're going to have some fun with the kids. If kids want to come out and bring their Halloween costumes, we're going to do a trick-or-treat camp to camp. People can bring their candy out there, and the kids can go campsite to campsite and trick-or-treat. We may have some sort of like costume contest for the kids or something. Just we're going to lean into it and have some fun with it. But we had some people that kind of complained, oh man, last year's dates were a lot better for us and stuff like that. We did what we could. We wanted to keep the same venue because that venue is what works best for us, because it has the right amount of capacity. Plus it has the kitchen, it has the hall, it has the showers, all that sort of stuff, and it's in a price range that is attainable for us. If we could afford to buy a property and put the event on, then we could plan the event whenever we wanted to. And who knows, maybe
you and me both, my friend. You and me both.
Maybe if we can get together and pool our income, we could probably still rent a venue somewhere. But you know what I mean? That would make it possible for us to be able to pick our dates. But the way we're having to do it with Doe Lake especially is we're sort of at the mercy of whenever we can get the available dates, and I don't know.
Doe Lake is very hard to get into.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons that we're not at Doe Lake anymore. And because like getting in, if you do not make a reservation for that place over a year in advance, for another hang that, we're looking at, they had to make the reservation. They had to be on at like midnight to
Yes.
go in and book the site, because it only opened a year in advance.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, and I tell people, if you're looking to start a hang, finding a location really is the hardest part.
It's tough.
Entire thing.
It's tough, because not only that, then you start running into all of these campgrounds that don't allow you to hang from their trees. There's a lot of these places that you go look at, and it's like, oh, it's tent camping only. You can't hang any. They don't want you to hang a light from their trees. Like, come on, we're a long way from paracord tied to the trees trying to hold a hammock up. We've got tree saver straps and all that stuff for a reason, but a lot of these places are still back in the 90s, I guess, or early 2000s, and they're afraid that you're gonna camp there for one night and you're gonna restrict the trees, and all the trees are gonna fall over and die the next day or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like I see plenty of places that have significant ground erosion from tent sites, from campers setting up tents, and hammock camping can help mitigate a lot of that ground erosion for people using responsible, tree-friendly setups. And I think that's where events like yours, events like George Bushcraft, Boatier, and stuff that we do at HangCon, of really disseminating that information on leave no trace, using tree safe straps. Again, like you said, going beyond, well, we're just strapping some paracord and we're drilling eye bolts into the trees and we're leaving the next day. Because unfortunately, for whether we like it or not, those idiots are, they're still out.
They are out there. I'll never understand the whole leaving your garbage at the campsite, man. It just blows my mind. It's always heavier to carry it in. It's always lighter to carry it out because it's empty. Why leave your garbage behind? It's just it blows my mind to think about that. And the other thing is, you go to these, like, sometimes I'll go to the boat ramps or something like that, especially if I've got some time to kill during the day. I'll pull up to a boat ramp and hang out for a little while or something. And there's always trash around the boat ramps. And, everybody who calls themselves a sportsman, and then they leave their garbage everywhere, man. It's like, there's so many places, and I'm sure you've seen it too, so many places that I used to go to growing up that you can't get into anymore because people have burned tires there. People have busted bottles there, and they've put locks on the gates, and you're not allowed to go there anymore. And
if you look at if you look at Max Patch on the AT, very popular place, and now, just because of jerks that can't take the trash out that end up trashing the place. Paul has told me that he's gone up and worked with a buddy of his up there, like cleaning up. He said they would take out 10 garbage bags almost every single weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, what? Like, you're ruining it for everybody. One of the things that I can brag about, like hammock campers specifically, when we were in Denmark this past year, after the event, they were cleaning out the area. Now, we had between 250, 300 hammockers in the Hammock HangCon area. So when they were doing the walkthrough and taking out trash from the tent area, gosh, I want to say Christian said that they had close to like 30 trash bags, like industrial sized garbage bags of things that people left. In the hammock area, they had 3, not bags, 3 pieces of trash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So, I will, like, last year when we left Wyld Camp, I drove through and looked at every campsite to make sure that we weren't leaving any trash behind, because I don't want it to, I want them to go, oh, these guys want to come back. let's allow them to come back. We made good money off of them last year, and we didn't have to pay anybody to clean up their mess. That sort of thing. I didn't pick up a single piece of trash. Nobody left anything behind. There was the other thing. We tell them your fires have to be in a fire pit, not on the ground. Nobody built fires directly on the ground. There was no burn spots in the grass or anything. Our campers were so awesome. And that's one thing I will honestly say. They are so respectful. Now we had some, a little bit of noise in the evening and stuff like that, but there was still, I wasn't playing a cardboard box like I was at HangCon. I may or may not have played the cardboard box as an instrument. But no, it was awesome though to walk around there, and there was nothing to pick up. Everybody policed themselves. And it was, that's one of the things that makes us want to do it again, is the fact that people are so good. We have some really great people. So
and didn't just clean up their site. They came and helped us make sure that everywhere was clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. Well, I'll end this episode with two questions. The first one is for you, Sara. So, with you coming on board, with all the wild, crazy adventures that Shaun goes on and takes you with him, what has been some of your favorite doors that this journey has opened for you?
I would say some of the subscribers. I am very much I'll stay at home, non-social. I'm good to just, people say, what's your favorite thing to do? I'm like, I'm taking a nap. That's my thing. And Shaun is Mr. Social Butterfly, but we definitely have met some people through the channel and everything, and they're friends now. And it is nice at Wyld Camp and stuff like that to be able to see them again, or they'll log into, a premiere and to say hello. And there's a face associated with that name, and so that is nice. So it's kind of gotten me out of my little bubble that I wouldn't have necessarily gotten out of. But we definitely have made friends through the channel, and it has opened the doors for Wyld Camp and stuff like that. And it's something that we enjoy doing now, and I love that my dad gets involved and everything, and now hopefully, fingers crossed, my mom will be there this year. And so it's good. It is it's a family environment.
Yep.
Awesome. And I'll end with this for you, Shaun. So with other than Rewyld, your Wyld Camp event, what are some adventures and what are some things that you are looking for that subscribers can look forward to seeing from you?
Well, we'll be at the Georgia Bushcraft Fall Gathering. I'll be going to Blackie Thomas's event in October. Blackie has become a good friend of mine. The guy is a wealth of knowledge. He's like the bushcraft survival. He's one of the gurus for that. And I'll be going to his event. It's literally, I think I'll have Blackie's event, my event, and Georgia Bushcraft within like 3 weeks. So it'll be a really busy time then. But so we've got those events coming up. And then I'm hoping to get on a few more road trips or something to get up out of this Florida heat a little bit and get some other camping done where it's maybe not 100% humidity and 110 degrees real feel. So that's kind of what we're looking into. But yeah, just more of the same, and hopefully a little better than we did before.
You're not really giving me too much hope because you lived here your entire life. And when I moved down here, people told me, well, eventually you get used to the heat.
No.
You're telling me they were lying.
They're lying. You don't get used to it. It just gets worse the older we get.
Well, Sara, Shaun, thanks for coming on this week. And if you really like what you've heard today, consider giving us a subscribe and a like on whatever podcast apparatus that you listen to us on. And we really are encouraging people to give us some subscribes on our YouTube channel. I'm not going to say hit the bell because I never do that anyway. I just kind of go through on my feed, but we really appreciate that. Drop us some comments on some videos and give us a review on wherever you get your podcast. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And also check out Shaun's YouTube channel and his Instagram as well. And definitely check out those Eventbrite tickets for Wyld Camp 2025 when they released. I want to tell y'all, folks, it is a blast of an event. There's so many great classes, so many great speakers, and y'all, it's just a fun place to hang out. So until next time, everybody, happy hanging, y'all.
As we gently sway out of another hammock-filled episode, we want to thank you, our wonderful listeners, for hanging out with us on the Hammock Hangers podcast. We hope that you have found relaxation, inspiration, and a renewed sense of connection to nature through our discussions. Remember to keep that hammock spirit alive in your daily life, whether it's by taking a few moments to unwind in your own backyard oasis or by planning your next hammock adventure in the great outdoors. Embracing the tranquility, embracing the simplicity, and never forget the joy that comes from simply hanging around. Before we part ways, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with all things hammock related. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for the Hammock Hangers Podcast. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to hang with you again on our next episode. Until then, stay relaxed, stay adventurous, and keep on hanging those hammocks high. From all of us here at the Hammock Hangers Podcast, we wish you peaceful hangs and endless relaxation. Thank you for tuning in. Happy hanging, everyone.